And hello, everyone. Joining us across social media on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, across the globe. My name is Tim Mikhelishvili, CEO of Amadea Pharma, host of the Medical Affairs Innovation Olympics, which we're going to talk about with my special guest, Steve Royal, who's joining us at 6 a.m. from Australia, a founder, stakeholder engagement expert, in both experience in commercial as well as in medical affairs. And his company is mymedicalaffairs.com as well as Rumi. And I'm very honored that My Medical Affairs is a media partner of this event. So Steve, welcome to.
Thanks very much, Tim. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So excited about this event. It was no problem getting up at all at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. this morning, despite getting to bed at 2. But in true Olympic spirit, up early and ready to jump straight into it, and excited to talk about the upcoming Medical Affairs Olympics.
Absolutely. I want to get right into it and let everyone know why I've been so excited and why I've been posting so much about this event and why I'm sharing a lot of that excitement with my colleagues such as you, who have a personal role in making this event a reality year over year. I think innovation takes place so quickly within pharma and biotech that this Olympics event has to take place more often than every 4 years, and every year, right, Steve?
It would be unrecognizable 4 years apart. The industry is moving and changing so fast. Medical affairs in general. I just a note. It's on My Medical Affairs. It's as you know, it's a platform that keeps registered members and users up to date with all of the events in medical affairs around the world. So I've got eyes on what's going on in most of the places, and this event truly excites me as much, if not more, than any of the others. It's like you say, the innovation in the industry is a necessity on the back of how fast the industry is actually evolving. When I say industry, I mean more specifically medical affairs. It's well discussed now that the medical affairs roles are expanding, taking on more responsibility, and as such is in demanding a different level of thinking and a different way of approaching challenges and that type of thing. So we're finding some really interesting people working in our community in the medical affairs space who have by nature of their own existence in the role in the industry today are having to adopt this different type of thinking and come up with these different ideas. So it's just kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, you absolutely helped me plan the event last year. You participated, and when I introduced you, I forgot to add one element of detail, which is that you're a former athlete, an athlete in track and field with a very, very fast time in the 100-meter dash, under 11 seconds. I'm not going to get into the details, but that's very impressive. And so we, in terms of Amadea Pharma and my approach to medical affairs, I'm really combining sportsmanship with the data science in order to help our colleagues communicate and quantify their contributions more directly on the business, on their organizations, on healthcare community patients, as well as on the clinical outcomes using a medical productivity index model. And this event will ultimately combine both that sports, that timeless Olympic spirit to inspire our colleagues to accelerate innovation, which is so needed. So I want to ask everyone to just take advantage of this time that we have with Steve, because I want to be able to answer all the questions you may have. So about registering for the event, about competing, and also about attending this event, which we'll talk about now. I want to get into the kind of the preview, because after all, there's only 17 days left before the event. So the preparations are underway and the adrenaline is really, kicking in, I must say. So in the comments here, in the ticker, you'll see you can go to amadeapharma.com to register there, to learn more about the event and what we're looking for here. So we have some comments here for some of our colleagues. by the way, Steve.
Excellent.
So yes, Sylvain Saab, thank you for joining. Please ask us any questions and what you're looking forward to, as well as Michelle Chernak. Okay. So we have a first question. Is there a deadline to register as a competitor? So the deadline is September 18th at 9 a.m. That's the day of the opening ceremony. So we want to encourage you to register as soon as possible. And I'll go into the details of what you can expect after you register. The track record that we've built already shows that those who register early seem to have somewhat of more of an advantage, if you will, in terms of just really connecting with all the judges in the forum and the community. And so yeah, I would definitely encourage you to
I compare it to getting to the track early or the sporting venue early and getting to do your warm-ups and your stretches and getting comfortable in your surroundings and that type of preparation is that's how to use another type of analogy that relates sport to this event. And of course, don't underplay the importance of the networking component. There's just people from all around the world working in medical affairs functions in this event, and you never know the sort of friendships that you can make and ideas that you can get just from talking to people experiencing similar challenges to you, but in different marketplaces. And I just touching on that, my past athletic endeavors. It's I'm an absolute athletics nut, and the Budapest Olympics were just on. The World Championships in athletics were just
track
on.
And field, absolutely.
Track and field. That's right. And Noah Lyles is making headlines. He won the 100, 200, and the 4x100 meters, saying that having a crack at the NBA, calling themselves world champions. The winners of the NBA call themselves world champions when it's really just the National Basketball Association. And he draws upon a good point, because this World Championships include all the countries in the world, and so does this. There's going to be colleagues from everywhere, and really, truly uplifting the spirit of competition and camaraderie. So can't recommend getting in there early and making the most of that element.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a good point, and I was truly, happy to see so many of our colleagues from all over the world, from Australia, from all continents, really participate. Now, what is the theme of this event? Okay, so this year we want to help our colleagues in medical affairs explain how where they fit in the universe overall, and how it is that they can aim a little bit higher, right? And in terms of helping patients take control of their health based on the medical information that they have access to, but also how does our individual health relate to our environment, our planet, right? ESG, and how ESG is becoming an important key factor in the corporate structure of many organizations, including pharmaceutical industry. And so we want to help each other kind of take a pause, reflect, and have a more long-term vision of how we want to see medical affairs be known among our very customers, patients, clinicians, physician researchers, so that they really are more familiar with the information that we generate and its outcomes, and that we communicate in this age of information, really similar to other functions such as the research and development, sales, and marketing, which our public is very well aware of. And so when we talk about innovation this year, I think we see that a lot of large companies or various different specialty rare disease companies are now collaborating on sharing their drug databases, things that were previously considered to be intellectual property and very much not concealed, but somewhat treated with a lot of kind of care, but not shared as readily, are now becoming are becoming public within the accessible. And so because we're trying to shorten time to diagnosis, accelerate drug development as well. And so really it's in terms of innovation of medications, it's not just really coming up with the best discovering the medication, but making them accessible, right, to clinical trials, so that it's not just the patient that has to look for clinical trials, but maybe pharmaceutical companies and medical affairs departments that connect patients, that go to patients rather than patients coming to us, to connect them to various trials. Or continuity, so access to care. Continuity is, in terms of when a patient goes from one hospital to another or one provider, they want to be able to make sure that they continue to receive care. And when they look for new jobs, right, when they change jobs, when they change their health plans as well, they need to be able to expect that highest quality of care that they receive, no matter which provider they see, which health system. I think we want to raise the bar, and that's why there's a lot of flexibility in terms of the ideas that we're looking for, but we want to focus on on demonstrating the role of medical affairs on accelerating or advancing the access, the continuity of care, and as well as the quality of care. So that's a little bit in terms of some of the themes. Now, those of you who are listening, we believe that the innovation needs first inspiration, right? Because I think it takes a lot of courage among the innovators, independent thinkers that we have among us, to contrast those opposing forces that say, okay, innovation is not for us, right? We've been doing things this way and we came this far, right? Well, what got you this far may not get you where you need to go, right? And so I think innovators are great at inspiring people, but they also need to be incentivized. And also we need to invest in medical affairs so that our colleagues, our medical professionals, are not just associated with costs and utilization, but also with investments, even though it's not a revenue generating function. And so I thought about those three I's, if you will, Steve, the right inspiration, incentive, and investment. And we're offering important kind of professional network through the judges that are going to evaluate the ideas, but also recognitions and prizes that people will be able to use in order to build their ideas and enhance them. $10,000 for the gold medal, $5,000 for the silver, and $3,000 for the bronze medal.
Yeah, they're exceptionally generous prizes, Tim, and you should be commended for that level of investment that you and Amadea Pharma are putting into the medical affairs community to encourage and inspire, and that should certainly resonate with any medical affairs people out there watching this, or if you know of anybody who's been sitting on a bit of an idea, who thinks they could advance an area of healthcare to better serve the community or the industry. Now's the time to put your hand up and plant that seed and get in front of some exceptionally experienced individuals in terms of the judges and network, and flesh it out and see where it can go. Maybe win some prize money. And sometimes when it comes to innovation, I mean, everybody's busy. If everybody's working in the industry, we're all busy. And sometimes you're sitting on such a good idea, just need that little push. Have that push. Come into the Medical Affairs Olympics and line up and see where it takes you.
Yeah. So this format of this ideation competition is going to be different from hackathons or Shark Tanks or other things that you may be familiar with, because of how long it takes, right? Because innovation also takes time. Last year's event was 1 month. This year it's going to be 16 days. Okay, 2 weeks. And the benefit of that is that you have the time to enhance those ideas, to go through multiple stages of elimination as well. So I'm going to show the format here for those of you who may not be familiar with it. So the opening ceremony will commence on September 18th, after which competition essentially begins. And you have two elimination rounds. Every week, there will be some eliminations. At the end of September 29th, that week, we'll have top 8 ideas, which will then be broken down and seeded into 2 semifinals. And they will take place in a live format. So up to that point, it will be a virtual asynchronous forum in which you will be able to submit your links to your ideas, any files you have, PDFs, and even arrange sessions, live sessions if you need. Now, very importantly, at the opening ceremony, all the competitors will be able to share their idea and introduce it. So we'll have dedicated time to introductions of the idea. So that'll be a very important time to do that. But throughout those 2 weeks, you'll have continuous feedback from expert judges and executives in medical affairs. Now, there are some differences, Steve, this year.
Last year's was so successful. I was interested to see whether you're going to stick with the formula, or, knowing you, Tim, being an innovator yourself, whether or not you could sit still long enough to keep it that way, or add another element to the tapestry, layer to the tapestry.
Yes. Well, so for the most part, the event is similar. It's shorter, meant to kind of improve the recall time of the judges and attendees. But because of the value that it created last year, because of the testimonials that we had, Steve, from startups, from who were able to form partnerships, this event will create economic opportunities as well as a learning and development community, and therefore we're forming this community of Olympians, if you will, right, within pharma and biotech, and so that's why it's going to be $250 for competitors and $350 for attendees. So it's no longer free like last year for that reason. So now, why? I want to ask you, Steve, also, why do you think our colleagues in pharma and biotech should compete at this event? You alluded to it somewhat, but given the format,
First of all, for me, well, there's 2 main things. The first one, the obvious one, is the networking. You're going to be on this online platform with lots of discussions going on around different ideas, fleshing them out, and you can't help but get inspired by the thinking that's going on around the world. But also, during this meeting, you personally will have an idea. Someone's going to say something, you're going to read something somewhere, and it's going to spark an idea with you, and something that you may be able to contribute, or maybe not right now at the time, but build on in future. The different layer of thinking and the complexity of ideas that come in, that you'll be exposed to, can't help but trigger your creative fire. So I encourage everybody to compete. I appreciate not everyone is sitting on what they think might be an idea. But even if it's just something that you've considered in the past and want to throw your hat into the ring, to use an Australian expression, I'm not sure if that's common anywhere else, but I'd fall back on the famous quote by the founder of the Olympic movement, Pierre de Coubertin, and that is that the important thing in any Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part. And you'll feel more of a part of the community if you are actually being involved, whether or not you're eliminated on day one or you're in the grand final race. You'll get a lot of value out of it. And it's an event like no other. We've all sat in conferences and listened to the presentations, as valuable as they are. This is so much more interactive and engaging for an online format, for a non-in-person format, to allow you to engage and really meaningfully connect with peers from around the globe. I can't recommend it enough. So compete if you can. Watch if you want. You might watch this year and decide to get involved next year. But yeah, there's a lot of good reasons, professionally and personally, to have a go.
Yeah. So since you alluded to the Olympic spirit here, Steve, I'm going to show the website, Amadev Pharma, and what you can expect when you visit our site. As you can see, you can look at the speakers, the agenda, the preliminary agenda that we have, and you can register as well. So in the opening day ceremony, you will have a 5-time Olympic gold medalist speaking, Gary Hall Jr., who happens to be a type 1 diabetes advocate, health consultant at Sanford Health, as well as James Pear, founder and CEO of Cambrian Bio, who leads a longevity platform pharma company. We'll have expert panelists. You can learn more about all of our panelists, our keynote speakers, who are globally recognized healthcare experts, machine learning experts, surgeons. We have commercial leadership being represented. We have medical affairs leadership, of course, and so you can learn more about them, but the agenda on the website. Okay, and so it will be basically about half a day that you'll spend, with the end of the day being devoted to competitor introductions at 1:30, and at the preview as well, at the end. Now, what I'll mention here is that you want to be able to understand who will be eligible. Okay, so let's maybe talk a little bit about that, right? And I've made a few changes in terms of who can register compared to last year, where I've spelled out, the 3 types of experiences of as employee, consultants, or volunteers at pharma or biotech, device diagnostics companies who can register, but those who may have interacted with medical affairs, because we want to get various different perspectives, not just those from our colleagues in medical affairs, but also those that have worked with or that continuously or have worked with medical affairs before, such as R&D, sales, and marketing, and to offer solutions. Okay, I know, Steve, you have both commercial experience, medical affairs. There's a speaker as well, Rob Adamowski, who has that kind of also executive experience that's diverse. And so that's a little bit of a difference. And so I want those who are listening and watching to just be familiar with, and to whom they can share this event with, or whether or not to consider competing.
Yeah, that sort of cross-functional nature is so important to bring in those different perspectives that can invite another layer of thinking from people on their ideas and that type of thing. It's we've been to events where they're very much siloed in terms of a certain topic or way of thinking that appeals to one type of professional. And whilst the more heads in the room, the more ideas you have. When you invite some different perspectives, you can really add rockets to that. So it's a great format.
Yeah. We also have 6 different categories compared to 4 last year. So we added 2 categories, the last 2 here: medical insights and medical strategy and launch. But the winners will be recognized both in individual categories, but the ultimate winners of the gold, silver, and bronze will be actually decided across the categories, just like we did last year. Okay. Now, a little bit about what to expect when you register. Okay, so I want to just go into some of the details on what can be submitted, the intellectual property as well. The proposals should not necessarily be finished proposals. Okay, so they can be a current or idea. They can be a draft. Last year, for example, we received some that were finished ideas, but then others that were simply a position statement, in reimbursement and health economics, for example, right? But they should be aimed at somehow elevating your organization, those of others who may be competing, other companies, and ultimately to advance access, continuity, quality. So when you decide what to submit, we of course encourage you to to let your management, your organization know, particularly if you don't own that idea. And so this is just some of the considerations for you to think about, right? Particularly if you have an employer, right? And so unless it's a proprietary idea that your business owns, it's of course you should probably get it approved by your employer, but you will maintain all 100% intellectual property of your ideas. In fact, that's in the statement, the waiver that you'll have to sign when you register. Okay, so maybe I'll take you through the registration site real quick to show everyone, what kind of questions they can expect when they click register. All right, just one moment. And I want to invite those of you who are joining here to ask your questions and comments here. Okay. So I'm sharing the registration screen here. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, and we'll just go through the attendee or competitor registration. You'll click one here for your ticket and discount code. So this is maybe a good time to talk about a unique discount code that you have, MYMA. Okay, MYMA, which stands for My Medical Affairs, and that's as a result of our partnership with Steve.
Yeah. Yep. All My Medical Affairs registered members, and now the general community can get a discount on that rate, which, just touching on, is there's exceptional value in that rate for a competitor or an observer, a spectator. The value that you'll get out of being involved in this initiative far outweighs that fee. If you look at any other event, mainstream event on the network, it's 5, 6, 10 times that amount to attend. And it's if it can be passed off as a business expense owing to the educational nature, wonderful. But and obviously if you win or you're in the prize money, there's a return on that investment as well. So get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So those of you who are watching, who may be leaders of teams and medical affairs, we hope that you will spread the word. Let your teams know and encourage them to participate, because it's also learning and development community, and which I'll preview also based on last year's event and platform. But this information is very very intuitive, straightforward. Minimal information is required when you register. But I have been asked this question, and that's the reason why I'm going through this. This is the waiver that you'll sign, that you'll agree with, which gives you 100% intellectual property, as I mentioned. There are some optional questions, but you'll also have to choose the event category in which you will be competing. That's required. And then you'll be asked to describe your idea and how it impacts advancing access. Now, this here, it's open-ended. Okay, so and you have 2,000 characters to enter it. It's only meant to screen those ideas that may be absolutely not irrelevant. However, once you press next and once you register, then you will receive yet another email which will allow you to provide all the details that are necessary. Okay, now, where will your ideas be seen by others, by judges and attendees? And what will then what will you have to do after you register? This information here shows some of the steps that you need. Okay, so we talked about registering. You'll have to download the Whova app. So the Whova app can be used on the web. So it's a web app essentially. If you use Google Chrome, we suggest using Google Chrome. But you will use the same email with which you registered. And after registering, you will receive this email reminder to submit either a PDF, video, or a link to live stream to your ideas. So stay tuned for that after you register. Okay. Now, Steve, I thought maybe I'll share some of the last year's experience also and kind of
Yeah.
give them a preview, since this is an insider's look, right, at the event, as I
Go into
promised.
the Olympic Village and see what the Olympics saw.
Yeah, from last year. So here's the event from last year that you should be seeing on your screen now. I'm going to load up in full screen. So what can you expect, right? Based on the 22-22 highlights, and we'll hear from Steve a little bit more on this community, and why we think it's so valuable for our colleagues. So you'll have an agenda here. You'll have all the ideas highlighted. So they'll have a dedicated page, okay, for each of the idea. So this was the first one, for example, that registered last year, and they became the winner of the event, in fact. Okay. So they had a video, they had various different photos, and there's a chat here on the right, in which judges asked questions. Judges and attendees asked questions throughout the event, which ultimately led to various different ideas being modified over time, right? And there's also somewhat of a strategy here that you need to probably think about. Steve, you mentioned about the importance of preparing early and showing up to practice early, right, in order to do well and to succeed. And you can also think about, do you want to share everything in your idea right away in that first week before the elimination, or do you want to save some of it for the semifinals or finals, right?
Yeah, so, it's a common tactic in a lot of qualifying rounds, just to keep a little left in the tank for the big play at the end. So it can be a little bit. You do have the opportunity to employ a little bit of strategy like that. But in terms, I think everybody would have just seen that platform there. It's so interactive to see the ideas and the asynchronous communication coming through from the judges and the discussions. There's drama and all sorts of things unfolding on the platform at any time. Whenever you log in, you'll see something's happening, and you can't help but get caught up in each idea. You'll see a title, something that resonates with you, and you'll start following that idea in particular. If you're a spectator, that is, and if you're a competitor, keeping an eye on how the other heats are going is just of interest. It absorbs you, and for these couple of weeks, if anything, you've got to remember you've got a day job as well to keep your eyes on. But right. I think this gives you a good understanding. I mean, look at the level of questioning and responses and in these particular topics on the side that runs alongside the events is you could easily jump in and network and answer questions and crowdsource information for yourself if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. We shared lots of articles. As you can see, there are 45 topics that people actually shared, with each other. A lot of them are still worth revisiting even today. I think there's so many innovative ideas on so many various different topics, and article sharing alone and just the numbers of articles we shared with each other, I think just reiterates that this was a learning, community as well, right? Resources.
You categorize this as an educational event that's based around the principles of innovation and competition. It's got its own category. We've got a lot of different categories on the My Medical Affairs platform, and I never know where quite to put this one because it stands on its own.
Yeah, thanks. And if you look at the agenda here, throughout the the Olympic event last year, we also had podcasts, relevant podcasts from innovators, from leaders within pharma, and we're going to do the same thing here. They'll be optional. They'll be on demand. Again, we know how busy everyone is. But ultimately, it's really what you will make out of this experience. The caliber of the ideas last year have been already shared at the Innovate article at the Medical Affairs Professional Society, by the way. and you can go to my website, I'm the Farmer, and you can see just the types of ideas that made it, that advanced last year. Some of whom I'm partnering with today still, and we're continuing our dialogue.
Yeah, definitely encourage everyone to read them, and particularly if you're thinking about competing, because you don't know you never know what sort of experiences or ideas or outcomes from that previous event that you can draw upon that could add a little bit of another layer to your own approach.
Yep, sure. And also the attending. So we talked about why you should compete, and why you should also attend, right? Even there's probably benefit because of the learning that we talked about. But also, Steve, I want to ask you about, your experience in terms of the kind of the depth of the networking and the setting, and what does the setting of an event have to do with the actual depth of the relationships that you can form personally, professionally, right?
I mean, it's easy the analogy again. I mean, this is what you've called it the Medical Affairs Olympics, because there's so much that we can draw from the Olympic movement, and the athletes are always come back talking about it wasn't just the competition, but it was also the deep friendships that were made and forged in the communities that were built around these sorts of events. So, yeah, my experience is you're being exposed to a global network of people working cross-functionally and within your function of medical affairs, and discussing topics and engaging with each other, bringing different perspectives, and after everybody's then hooked up on LinkedIn, everybody's liking each other's posts and things like that. But it's also the spirit of the competition, which really even more so bonds people together. When you've gone into battle in competition or an analogy like that, it does bring you closer to people, and especially if you've been leveraging off each other to draw more motivation, to try harder, or what have you. So they're the key elements that really make this an enjoyable competition to be involved in, but also to watch. It's great to sit in the stands and see it all unfold. But you're not just watching; even as a spectator, you can still be involved in the forums and that type of thing as well. So there's can't recommend it highly enough as a networking event, as an online networking event. I can't think of of anything that's on par with it. Normally, everybody just sits and watches the TV screen or the monitor, and then turns it off halfway through to get something to eat, and probably doesn't come back a lot of the time. So this draws you back in.
Yeah. I wanted to just show everyone that in addition to the financial prizes for the top 3 winners, there will be special awards and recognitions in each category. You will have a chance to amplify the exposure of your ideas when you receive these recognitions. If you win your particular category, for example, and through podcasts. So you'll be invited to a podcast, blog articles. And so there's continuity here from last year's meeting to this year's meeting. That's why we're limiting the ideas to only those that were initiated after September of last year, September 1st. But, to our kind of discussion on the depth and the quality of the relationships that you can expect here, which are unique, I think I can definitely talk from my experience, in medical affairs, speaking to many physicians in different settings. Right. Yes, you can meet them, in their office when they're busy seeing patients. You can call them on the phone. But when I saw them at, let's say, at scientific conferences, at their poster, if I had in-depth discussions with them there, or if I had a dinner meeting, right, with many physicians, the level of discussions and the level of relationships, we're on a different dimension. And that's what we're recreating here. And in fact, I do want to also ask you, Steve, to maybe comment on the in-person Olympic trials that we held in March, and the winners of which have now qualified for free. So they're off the hook in terms of paying to attend.
Well, I mean, it goes to show the get in early, prepare early, and there's lots of benefits as well. And they probably have a little bit of an edge as it is as well, because their ideas may be a little bit more fleshed out. But that doesn't mean that there's what we call smokies or dark horses out there in the community that can come and blow everybody away that we never saw coming, a la Usain Bolt in 2012. But yeah, it's a great concept, Tim, and I've wanted to actually thank you, and I might take the opportunity now to the industry, medical affairs industry needs innovators to support innovators and encourage this thinking. There's a lot of transition happening. Everybody's talking about AI now. It was ChatGPT 6 months ago. They feed into each other, obviously, but people are wondering, what can we do? I've heard of AI. What does it mean for me? There's I noticed on the panel there's a tremendous expert in this field called Matt Lewis. You'll be able to hear his input for a competitor that's fleshed out an idea already for AI that's coming to compete. You'll learn, and yeah. So these sorts of events really do contribute to the ongoing growth and innovation and forward progression of medical affairs industry. So Tim, you should be commended for putting the event together. It takes a lot of work, I know personally. Not only that, you're running a business on the side. So yeah, people, I would suggest draw a bit of inspiration from Tim's effort and do support it. These events don't go on if they're not supported. Get in, have a go, and recommend it to your friends. You'll speak with the exact same amount of enthusiasm that I am right now if you get the opportunity to jump in and be involved. So yeah, just wanted to give you a shout out personally, Tim, and thank you for it.
Thank you very much, Steve. I think that's a great way to wrap up this conversation. We're confident about the experience, the shared experience that we will create, and we're just looking forward to the best ideas that you have. What's in our control is to, I think, create the environment and the energy or the fuel that you need to make innovation a reality. And I think we'll work hard to create that environment. We have done that last year very well, I think, Steve. And Steve, I thank you also for continuing to support this event, wholeheartedly.
I worry that it looks like I'm a little bit biased or something like that. It consumes a lot of my my LinkedIn posts and things like that. There's a lot of events out there, but I keep getting drawn back to get excited about this one as well. So I hope to see everybody at the games, walking around the Olympic Village and say hello and let's really embrace the spirit of competition and have a wonderful event.
Yep. Great. Thank you very much. And we'll close with another quick video. And please ask us any questions you have, comments. We'll share the registration link again. And see you soon. 17 days to go, everyone.
Bye for now. See you at the games. Go well.